We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mysteries After Dark. I am your host, Jerry. And tonight we have a special guest, but I'm not going to reveal who it is quite yet. So let me ask, have you have you ever had a dream so real you couldn't tell the difference between dream and reality? Have you ever had a dream or perhaps a nightmare that haunts you? That left a feeling that lingers, I guess we'll say, that you have the overwhelming need to get deciphered. This is where in Onara, yeah, Onera critic, Onera critic would come in handy. It's a person that interprets dreams. Psychologist tells us that dreams are a way for our subconscious to to work through issues that we might be having. And tonight we have Diane with us, and there's something that this is something that she's helped others out with. I think that's a fair statement. And tonight she's going to discuss dreams with us and maybe answer a few questions that's plagued me for years. As always, if you're watching this live and you have a question, feel free to go ahead and post that up. And if we see it, we will get to it. So without further ado, thank you very much for joining us in studio, by the way, tonight.
Why, thank you for having me tonight.
Yay.
I'm always happy to help.
Yeah, it's nice you come back and visit often. And you get the nice microphone this time. How do you feel about that?
I really hate talking on microphones, so there's that.
Oh Lord. You know what? For those of you watching this that might not be in the Omaha, Nebraska, Council Bluffs, Iowa area, we finally got a break from the onslaught of the oven that we've been in. Oh my God, this has been ridiculously hot.
It's horrible.
So, I've had some interesting dreams and nightmares over the course of my life, as we all have. I think that's fair. I'm pretty sure most of us do. Although some people, like my wife, she doesn't recall her dreams. She don't seem to remember them, and she goes, "I don't dream." And then I informed her that, honey, if you don't go into REM sleep, you will die. Like you have to dream. It's just you don't remember them.
Well, if she works everything out in the dream, she doesn't need to remember it.
Okay, that's fair.
That's the way your subconscious deals with everything.
Okay.
So if she works out what's bothering her in her sleep, she doesn't need to remember it, so she can look at it.
Apparently, I have a lot of issues then.
Could be. Just saying.
Oh, so let me ask you, and this is personal, and I've been wanting to ask someone about that, and I figured, hey, why not, share it live, of course. One nightmare, or rather a night terror, I don't know what you would call it, I had years ago. I was probably 15 or 16 years old, and it haunts me to this day. I kid you not. I was at my uncle's house, and I kind of remember going into the house, running in to the house because I knew something was chasing me, something was pursuing me. I ran upstairs and I hid in the attic. There, I know this sounds weird, but there was a girl in the attic that warned me. She said that essentially she said it's coming for you and it will catch you. It wants your soul. And me being me, I said, it's slow. It can't catch me. Basically, I can outrun it. It's too darn slow. And she informed me that it would never stop until it finally does get me. Which reminds me of this movie I saw a while back called the title of it is It Follows. For those that are familiar with that movie, I'm pretty sure I did not pick up a follower the way that it is portrayed in the movie, but it's passed along from, we'll say, boy to girl, and then maybe girl to boy. It's really, really weird. Just watch It Follows. Diane's looking at me like I'm a psychopath. Watch It Follows. It'll explain
Okay.
everything. This
I'll
this was not
I'll
that
look it
scenario.
up.
So she said this girl in the attic who I don't know, I've never seen before
That
in my
you're
life.
dreaming about.
Yes, in the
Okay.
dream. If my wife's watching, this was in the dream. This was way before I met you. She said the only way to save my soul is to say, the horrible part is that I've forgotten the first part, okay? But I still remember the last 5 words. Find another soul to fetch. I don't remember the beginning of it. I just remember those 5 words. And that to me seems, I guess you'd say, a very odd thing to say. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps it's a quote from a movie that somehow worked its way into my dream. And if any of you are listening and you've ever heard that phrase, I'd love to know where that perhaps came from. So back
I
to, mhm.
just a quick interrupt.
Okay, yeah,
Did your mom ever read you the original Grimm's fairy tales?
probably.
That's in there.
Okay, I'm gonna have to dig into that. So in this dream, this nightmare, I'm in the attic and everything begins distorting and twisting. So I knew it was close. I run down the stairs, which should have taken, I don't know, 3 seconds. But the staircase, it was elongated and twisting. It's hard to explain. Finally, I make it down the stairs. I run to the living room. My uncle's sitting in his recliner. He's always in the recliner. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, we have to get out of here right now. There's this thing. It's trying to come get us. And the creepy part, and I remember it vividly, he looks up at me from the chair and he says, I'm fine. It doesn't want me, but you need to run. It isn't after me. That's what he said. It is creepy. So I take off running out of the house, up the street. I go to this, I think maybe it was like a health food store. I don't know. But my cousin Jonathan, he was living there or he was staying there in the basement. So I run down the stairs to the basement of this building, and all the walls, they're all made out of glass, which is kind of weird, I know. And I'm yelling for Jonathan. I'm yelling for my cousin. Hey, help! There's something going on. It's weird. There's this thing, and suddenly the room that I'm in with him now, it begins to distort a little bit, and then it increases as this creature comes closer. And through the glass wall, okay, I can see this tall, shadowy. If it were a man, if I were to describe it as a man, I don't know, probably 7 foot tall, 400 pounds, just a beast. So there was only one way out of this basement, right? And and that was back up the stairs. That's the only way to get out. But this thing was walking towards the staircase from this other room. It kind of reminded me now, as I'm older, I've seen a movie called 13 Ghosts. That glass house, it kind of reminds me of that
Oh,
in hindsight. Yeah, how that glass, there's the staircase from the glass. I mean, it was kind of like that, which is interesting because I had this dream probably, 10 years before that movie ever came out. So I'm going up and it's coming towards me. I pass it by, I don't know, probably within 6 or 8 feet from this thing. So the dream itself, it felt like it lasted for probably a few hours. It mostly focused on me staying away from this creature. I don't know. Maybe we'll call it a soul harvester. That sounds kind of cool. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna call it a soul harvester. So the soul harvester. No. So finally, I go up the stairs. I get out of the building. I'm in the parking lot. I jump on top of a car, and I yell at this thing. I'm like, "Hey, listen! I'm faster than you. You can't catch me. Give it up." And then I see another one, and the parking lot was really dark too. Then I see another one come out of the shadows, and as I'm turning, looking around from on top of the car, I keep seeing more and more and more, and finally they're completely around me. I'm encompassed. I remember thinking in my dream, I know this sounds weird, it was a very lucid dream. Maybe I can jump over one of them or get away, but finally I'm like, you know what? There's no escape. These, whatever these things are, whatever this soul harvester, whatever, it's going to get me. So I said, what the hell? I got nothing to lose. And I said whatever the girl said, something, something, something. find another soul to fetch. And the dream was still, it was still nighttime, but the darkness in that parking lot, it seemed to subside, like as though it lightened up a little bit. It went from being pitch dark with no moon, we'll say, to maybe twilight or dusk or something to that. And these creatures, they faded out of existence. To this day, I don't know what that was. And believe it or not, I've even had more horrifying dreams. But look at this technology. It's always something, isn't it? So let me ask, is there some type of meaning or something behind what this creature, I mean, is it a common occurrence? Is something big, dark, hulking coming after you a common theme through nightmares or night terrors or horrible dreams like this?
In night terrors, being chased is not unusual. That's one of the really nasty things about night terrors is you're being chased, you can't get away, it's gonna get you. You got lucky
Yeah, I feel like it.
because they gave you the little girl in your dream
Yeah,
gave you a way out.
that was very nice of her, by the way.
Yes.
If you're listening,
Because for most people, they're having a night terror. They're not going to get away with some phrase. They're going to wake up screaming and probably swinging at people. So your own subconscious gave you a way out
okay,
so that you didn't wake up with your heart trying to explode out of your chest. I'm sure it still felt that way,
yeah,
but it saved you from being torn apart in your dream or whatever.
that makes sense. Is that a common theme though amongst people? Nightmares of being chased.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's
It's,
a reason for that.
yes.
Like, because in mythology they talk about, and I know this episode wasn't necessarily going to go that route, but they talk about like incubus, succubus, things like this. These little night demons that come and wreak havoc on us while we're asleep. So from mythology, we kind of have those, but I don't know. You think it's more of a subconscious working things out? They're afraid of something in their life they're running from.
Okay, first of all, you're a teenager when you had this dream, right?
Yes.
Okay, everything to a teenager is horrifying and life altering or ending, and yeah, you're going to want to run away.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And that's what your subconscious does. It lets you run away.
Okay.
Like I said, the girl in the attic, she was cool because she gave you a way to get out of the situation without waking up with your brains on fire and your heart beating 100 miles an hour. And yeah,
That's a good thing.
yes.
Okay.
So
So
your own subconscious was protecting you from yourself.
I got the easy button,
Yeah.
Office Max easy button.
Yeah.
Now they owe me money. That's a plug.
See,
No.
I get demons that jump on me.
I've had some weird ones. Well, I don't know if I'm alone on this one, but I've had dreams where like I fell off a cliff, right? Or I met another type of demise. But a lot of people when they have that, they wake up. And don't get me wrong, I've had the feeling where I'm falling and I jerk awake, right? You move and kind of twitch and you wake up. But I've also had them where I don't wake up and I see my body laying beneath me as my eyes, I guess, are hovering over the body or whatever is coming out of it. Or sometimes I'll have a dream where it goes dark in my dream and then suddenly I'm alive again, like a reset on a game. I don't know. That's just weird to me.
Without testing you,
Yeah.
it's very possible because if you die in a dream, you die.
Yeah.
Okay, or you wake up, like I said, with your heart trying to explode out of your chest.
Yeah, which is probably why it kills people. Because I've woken up like that. And if you got an issue with your ticker and you're having a dream that's got you up to 180 beats a minute, that could cause flatline. I mean, that could kill you.
Yeah. So the fact that you're seeing yourself fall and die, and then you're seeing yourself above you.
Yeah.
Okay, you can either end up dreaming about a dream. So a dream inside a dream is really hard because they're hard to wake up from.
Okay.
But it's also possible that you astral projected.
Okay. I'm not going into that one. I don't know how to do that.
No, that's where you have literally left your body.
Is there any meaning behind these dreams though? Like where you die in your dream? Do you think in general, or is it just kind of a wide spectrum? A lot of things can trigger that type of a dream.
Things that will trigger that are extreme stress. If you're very sick, if you really should have gone to the hospital. Your subconscious knows you should have went to the hospital and you didn't go. So this is what we're going to do to you for not going. Kind of like me dreaming about my mom and my cousin
Okay.
when I'm running a fever of 102
Okay.
because I should really be in the hospital.
Yeah.
And they're usually in the dream drinking coffee, looking at me and going, "You realize you can't stay here, you have to go."
Oh Lord.
It's like,
So reoccurring dreams. Let me ask you about those. Is this a is it a common thing where people will dream the same kind of a dream? I guess you would call it. I don't know. I dream about I have a couple of dreams that reoccur. One's a White House. It's almost always in the dream. I'm always on the outside looking in, so to speak. Okay, I'm not in that house. I'm not really in it. But the yard, the house, everything. When I dream about that White House, it looks the same. And I probably dream about that thing like once a month, maybe once every couple of months. Is that common?
for some people,
Okay, that's a fair answer.
it's considered an archetype. It's home base. It's where you can safely launch your dreams
Okay,
and everything. Even though the dream goes all over the place, if you can lucid dream, stop yourself, whatever the dream is, and look for the house. And
okay,
that will take you back to like a reset in your dream.
okay. All right, fair
So,
enough.
yeah, that the big white houses are really kind of important for people. You can find out all kinds of craziness.
All right, so the house for me that gets weird, I guess will say, and in my dream it's a family house, and it's weird because I've spoke to my uncle about it, and he goes, "That sounds a lot like the house that his grandfather lived in." And I even told him where this house was in correlation in the neighborhood. And he's like, "Yeah, it sounds about right," which is weird because I didn't know anything about it. That aside, it's a reddish 2-story home. And, it's always, I guess you would say, very similar as far as the feeling I have while I'm there. Like I'm at a family house, I'm at a home versus just a random house. But every time I dream about the house, there's there's always something a little different. The staircases will be different. There's one time I dreamt about it, and I went through the front door and it was all staircases. There'll be hidden staircases. You'll move a panel. There's one I went through a closet into a staircase that took me to a room that overlooked the backyard, which is really, really weird. And I don't know. And then the basement, but now the basement's always different, so to speak. But there's a common trend of running water. There's always there's always like a creek. There was a creek running through it one time. I've had one where there's canals that go through it. There was another one where there was what looked like a water leak in the upstairs coming from the main room above, the house above the basement. And then that water came down, fell into the basement, went through this kind of a crevice opening. It wasn't a crack, it was designed that way. It was the width of the basement, a couple feet high, and then it flowed down into what almost looked like a a pool, like a swimming pool almost. Is that normal? Like to have that much detail in a dream and then to, I don't know.
Okay,
Is
and
it just
again,
a
I
weird
say,
dream?
no. Houses are where you feel comfortable. Okay, people live in houses,
Yeah.
so you've got all these things that you're working with.
Okay.
The staircases, those are choices. You need to move up in life, so you have all these choices. Those are staircases. Some are twisty, some change, some are hidden. Okay, that is like a subliminal message. Hidden staircases are subliminal messages.
Okay.
So it's like there's an option to you that you don't know about yet. We're going to get you there. So you need to know that whatever this is, this choice, you'll find it. It's not there yet, but you'll find it. Now, if you're a water sign,
Okay.
so this is a zodiac thing, which I really don't like getting into those, but sometimes it's a thing. Water can mean you need to get more in tune with the universe around you. It can mean you need to go with the flow.
Okay.
Everything find
I
your
like
own
that.
path. You might need to slow down. You may need to understand that the path you're on may be windy, it may take forever, but even as soft as water is, it can bore through a hole.
Okay.
It can find its own way. So be water. Be the flow.
Yeah, that sounded like a Bruce Lee thing, just so you know. Be water, my friend.
Be the water.
So there's a lot of dynamics at play that can. So
Yeah.
when you're interpreting a dream,
Yes.
does life issues of the person that had the dream to a person that is analyzing the dream, do those life issues matter? Do those help fill in the blank, so to speak? Or, a person might be like, well, I'm having this dream about this staircase. Is that a time to say, well, do you have different job options available to you right now? Or are you debating between staying in your home versus moving to this place or moving to this place, so to speak?
My first question, okay, I would listen to the dream like I listened to yours.
Okay.
And my first question would be, or it actually it'd be a statement.
Yeah.
You have a lot of choices that you're looking at. And from the description of these staircases, some of those choices you already know are too twisted to follow.
Okay.
So, whatever it is, yeah, taking the job in Colorado sounds great, but you already know you've got too many connections here. You'd have to come back all the time. And that's why that staircase is twisted. That's not where you need to be.
Okay.
So yeah, and then I would ask them. So is this a choice about a move or job? And it depends. The dream you described,
Yes.
okay, these are choices, life choices. That's your staircase. The water, yeah, that's you needing to get in touch with your higher power or God. Crack open the Bible.
Okay.
Okay. Go with what's in front of you. Quit trying to fight upstream.
Okay.
The water will win. You won't.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I watched this video where these guys, they simulated a river and they were professional Olympic swimmers. The river won.
It'll do that. It's like one of those infinity pools that you
Oh,
just
Lord.
keep swimming and swimming.
And you ain't moving.
No.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, that's about all I got for that one. You're going to stick around for the next segment. It should only take maybe another 15 minutes because I want to get into some
Puckwudgies?
No, not on this one. Not on this one. Some devilish compulsions. There we go.
Oh my gosh.
I think it'd be fun. You have an extra
I
15?
I've got an extra 15, but I think I'm gonna to need a Bible. You got a spare one around here? I didn't bring mine with me.
Yeah, I do not. I do not, but it'll
Oh
be all right.
well.
It's not going to be terrible. It's not going
Oh,
to be
okay.
terrible. So for those out there listening, have you ever felt a compulsion? Someone cuts you off in traffic, or jumps out, in line in front of you, cuts you off. You ever get the urge to, I don't know, yell at that person? I think that's something we've all felt. I think that's fair. Could maybe just be me. Maybe I'm just slightly possessed. I don't know.
No, I just
Then again, maybe it's an external force or a consciousness quietly whispering in our ear. Maybe the voice that we hear, that we assume is our own, within our own mind. Maybe that's not always the case. Maybe it's something else, something sinister, something perhaps wanting to take control. Possessions, be it demonic, or I don't know, something else. It is a phenomenon that's supposedly been with us for literally thousands of years. And honestly, I'm excited that Diane has stuck around to help me out with this one. I think it'll be kind of fun. I don't know. We'll see. So let me ask, because I'm going to touch on different scenarios of possessions from different cultures and religions. And I'm assuming you look at things from both a Christian and a Celtic perspective. Is that fair?
yes.
Okay, perfect. So, what do you? I guess the question is, what do you think of possession? Do you think it's real or not? Are there different entities that commit these violations of our soul and body, or is it all just a figment of our imagination? Because a lot of the people that over the years, especially 80 years ago, we used to love to put people into, we would call them institutions. But it wasn't institutions of higher learning.
No.
You were locked away. And I often think to myself, if demonic possessions or spiritual possessions are a real thing, I often think to myself, is it possible that some of those people were mislabeled or misdiagnosed because academia, they don't accept that. They don't accept the possibility of spiritual possessions. So do you think it's real or not? I guess.
Possessions?
Yes, a person could be possessed.
Yes. Simple, easy. That's the quick answer.
Now, and I'm going to touch on this probably as I go through, but you have the Catholic, we're just going to say Catholic, it's Christian, but we're going to, Catholic. You have the Catholic demonic possession, but in other cultures, we have entities or a soul of a dead one that can also come into a body and take possession. Do you believe that is a possibility as well?
Um, no. Those actual possession by a human
Okay.
is it's not a thing. Okay, when you're talking about possession by a demon,
Yes.
they are in your skin.
All right.
Okay? They have taken it's like you're a car and they are now driving it. Okay. When a human spirit
Okay.
is searching for a way to communicate, they can't possess you. They become
What?
a hang on.
Yeah.
They grab onto you. They can drain you. They can make you tired. But it's actually just their way of trying to get somebody's attention,
You ever
and you can
watch?
take them home.
You ever watch Ghost? Whoopi Goldberg,
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze. I couldn't think of the
Yes.
name. I'm like, oh God, what is his name? So the ghosts would jump into the body of Whoopi Goldberg and take over.
That's different.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Okay, because she could still kind of get him out, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is okay. Remember when we were talking about mediums and sensitives and stuff like that?
Yes.
There there are a few brave souls out there who are sensitive that are willing to take on that energy.
Okay.
Um I don't know about other sensitives, but if I open myself up like that, I'm going to have a headache and I'm going to be wiped out for at least a good 2 or 3 days. It's not going to be fun because I did something stupid. So when you are a sensitive, you can accept the energy into your body. You're not giving up your soul. You're not doing any of that. You're
Okay.
just letting that energy in so that it can use you.
Okay. Fair enough. So
Yes.
the I would say the most commonly familiar, or we as people were most familiar with the concept of demon, as I mentioned earlier, demonic possession given to us
Mm-hmm.
by the Catholic Church. Something that's been portrayed in God many
Way too
movies.
many movies.
I will tell you, I kind of want to. I haven't seen it yet, but there's a movie called Nefarious, with the guy that I can't remember his name. He played Powder. He was Powder and Powder. He played he was in Boondock Saints. It's not what's his name from Walking Dead. It's the other guy. I
I
can't
know who
think of
you're
his name.
talking
Yeah,
about.
really good actor though. I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet. I would love to see it. So, and we have a lot of those movies where the demon takes control of the body, but we also have these entities. I mean, they're within Judaism, they're within Christianity, they're within Islam, even though it's mostly in America considered to be a Catholic thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Uh, but one thing
Unless you're talking about Voodoo.
I don't even know, but I'll get to that later probably. No,
Okay.
I
Voodoo.
don't. Oh,
Voodoo.
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 Okay. I will tell you though, when I was kind of looking some of this up for this episode, one thing I found interesting from Islam is they also have demonic possession, but a lot of that is, or sometimes I guess the possession is carried out or perpetrated by a jinn, and that's where we get the modern idea of a genie in the lamp.
Right.
But it seems that if you get into the folklore, it seems like the jinn can also possess people as well. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think outright many people would consider a jinn a demon because
Well,
supposedly they can do good and bad.
a jinn is like an angel, like a fallen angel.
Okay.
The seal of Solomon
Okay.
was used to trap the jinn.
Okay.
Solomon used the jinn to help him build the temple.
Okay.
So now you know a little bit of
You
strange history right there. You
did
can
you?
look it up.
Okay. Buddhism.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know? And again, I don't know. I kind of look at it with the jaundiced eye, so to speak, with possessions a little bit. But in Buddhism,
Look at me. I'll tell you if your eyes are
nature spirits can take hold of the human body and work their will through that host. I find that to be kind of interesting. But again, I don't know how much validity I put into that. But when you go down the list of these
it's an
issues, or
elemental.
yes, kind of that is very much when you look at what is described as an elemental versus kind of what they're talking about. That is kind of the same creature. And in that vein, many parts of Africa, and yes, I get Africa's a continent with many different, native beliefs,
A lot.
but there are. I looked through all this the other day. I'm telling you, there always seems to be a common theme. There are spirits, and those spirits, especially if you are within their element, kind of tying back to the elementals and what Buddhism gives us.
Mm-hmm.
If you are within their element, they can take control of you. And sometimes they're referred to as a demon, especially in the parts of Africa that have been influenced by Christianity. However, the characteristics of what they consider to be a demon and the malevolent spirits in that area, they seem very, their actions are the same. And I find it interesting that within a lot of cultures where they talk about these malevolent spirits, even though their culture might not have a word for a demon or worded as demon from what we are given from scriptures, the actions of those spirits seem to closely correlate with the actions of what a demon would do given to us by, well, to say Christianity to keep it simple. I know it encompasses more than that. And I'm always left wondering, a rose by any other name. I mean, is it the same thing? It's just they don't have a word for demon. This thing likes to possess you. It likes to wreak havoc and tries to destroy your life. That sounds a lot to me like a Luciferian tactic, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Um, God, there's so many possibilities. An elemental, a
Yeah.
nature spirit, they're they like the water and they want you to come play in the water. And it's really too bad you can't breathe in the water, but that's
Yeah.
not their fault.
That's a human design flaw.
Yeah. Um, Demons are more like, ooh, we're gonna possess Joe over there, and he's gonna grab that woman, and he's going to hold her under the water
Oh
and
Lord.
see if she can breathe. That's demonic.
Okay, so there was a lady I met. This was it was probably, I could tell you it was probably around 2012 actually. It was around 2012, I think it was. Nice young lady from, she lived outside of Zimbabwe. She was in a tribe. And I don't want to get into a lot of the details because it is kind of gory and it's horrible, and I don't like talking about these topics necessarily. But essentially, there was another tribe that dictated how the lives of those people would live in the tribe she belonged to. Okay, her
Okay.
tribe belonged to another tribe, if you know what I'm trying to say here.
Yes.
I don't like the thought of people owning people. So her brother decided that he didn't like it and he spoke out against it. And I'm going to try to keep this vague because, again, I don't want to go into details because, hey, we could have a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old listening to this at some point. They they put some weights on him and let him go swimming in this lake. And it was a specific punishment, a very horrific punishment, because there was a demon in that lake in their belief. There was this nasty entity. And he would suffer more because as he was in the water, it would take possession of him and inflict suffering. And then to to make sure, when they pulled him out, they had him hooked to a rope. They pulled him out after about a couple of hours, I think it was. She told me, and without going into detail, they did some things with his body. They removed some things to make
Okay.
sure that the demon wouldn't have his body and go walking around.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense, if you know what I'm trying to say here. But do you think it is a case of perhaps it's because in Irish folklore we have water nymphs, right? Like we got those things,
Oh, yeah.
and those are probably. I mean, would you say it's fair, or is it totally different, or is it somehow tied to like a water elemental per se, or do you think it's a separate entity?
The
Because
Celtics have so many fun water things. We have a horse-looking thing
yep.
that loves children, and then of course the child jumps on its back and he takes them out in the water and drowns them. So there's stuff like that. We have selkies.
But now here's the thing. Maybe even if they're like what you were saying earlier, their intentions might not necessarily be malevolent, but the actions of that of hey, come hang out in the water, even though you can't breathe water, and then other humans seeing that, they would perceive it as
A demon.
a demon, something evil, even though the underlying intention. I mean, it could be amoral. There might not be anything at all
Yeah.
involved,
neutral.
Yeah, I mean, or it's just the way that we're perceiving it. So, I don't know. I thought it's kind of interesting. I wanted to mention that, kind of get your take on it. So,
Yeah, and oh, since we're live,
yes,
I need to apologize to a chaos magician, and I can't remember his name. And he was talking, and my reaction was, "No, I don't play with chaos."
yeah,
And I started thinking about it, and it's like the creation of the earth was chaotic.
yeah,
What resulted was beautiful, but
yeah.
it was chaos. And it's like, so I owe him an apology.
Well, if he's out there, he'll hear it.
Yeah, because I really felt bad that I got on my very old horse and
Yeah,
decided to charge forward. And yeah,
nothing.
I had a dream about my mom, and she's like, "So, you think childbirth is clean now that you've had a few, you know?" And it's like, oh crap, I didn't even think of that.
It's all right.
So, yeah,
If he's out there, she's sorry.
I'm very apologetic for not being open when I needed to be.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So let me ask: the theme that, or the belief that a spirit, or sometimes even another soul, that concept that it can take possession of a person that has passed away. That is something though that is prevalent, and maybe it is demonic. Maybe it isn't necessarily another soul. But this idea of a body being taken over, literally every continent except Antarctica. It almost makes you wonder, especially considering how vastly separated some of those places are. If there is something going on, if there is this demonic possession, the idea of spiritual possession or a human being possessed has permeated the music industry as well as movies. We kind of touched on that earlier. But what I wanted to bring up, and you might know about this, and I'm speaking to Diane, I don't know if anyone out there will. I grew up watching Twilight Zone reruns, love Twilight Zone reruns. And this episode, it was in the 60s. I actually looked it up to make sure I got it right. The episode was called The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtleback. And essentially, he's at his own funeral. He's in the casket. He sits up. He's mad, freaking out, demanding, "Hey, why am I in the coffin?" So essentially, it sets the idea that we have a case of mistaken death, a premature diagnosis, and he was still alive. However, by the end of the show, it becomes clear that a spirit has taken possession of his corpse. And I don't know. My thing is, we do have reports of people being buried alive and being presumed dead. Not so much today, although it does happen. We had a case of it happen, not in the States, but I think it was the Dominican Republic just a couple of years
England.
ago. Yeah, they thought, "Hey, they're dead." No, I'm not. And, I think maybe a possible answer for some of these cases that might have led to the belief of possession, and again, I'm looking at it from a physics geek outlook, is that they contracted some type of a virus or disease, and it made them simulate death, so to speak. Their breathing, their heart rate, everything became shallow, especially back in the, prior to the 1800s and really prior to the 1900s, before we had all this technology. Now we can actually determine brain death. But what do you think? Do you think that there is a possibility that some of those misdiagnoses could have lent credence to some of these stories?
Well, considering my uncle used to wear a bracelet that said what his condition was and the fact that he would appear dead, please don't bury me. Um, because he got snarky with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the name of that particular um, disease, and it kind of acts like narcolepsy, like you're walking across the floor and you fall down. Only instead of everybody knowing it's narcolepsy and you're asleep,
Yeah.
your functions drop so low that you are presumed dead, and you may stay in this state for 3 days.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
So here you are for 3 days in the morgue drawer before they can get to you, and you wake up and it's like, guys, you all want to let me out now?
See, that's what I've told my wife. I said, hey, listen to me. If I die, put me in the cooler, okay? But give me like a few days before y'all start cutting into me. Like, make sure I'm done.
Make sure I'm done before you do it.
I've checked out. I don't really want to go in prematurely. So, I know we talked about it before, I think. You did a book. What is that? You got your little, what's the name of your book?
Which book?
The last one that you made me look at. Home is where your grove is.
Yes.
Ah, look at that.
You said you did a book.
But
Okay.
no, so here's my point. You need to do, and I know I've said this before, because I've had you on the episodes.
I'm in the middle of writing another book.
You've had a lot of weird stuff happen in your life, and you've
Yes.
done this for, I'm not going to say hundreds of years, but for a while. Don't hit me.
Be afraid.
You need to do a book talking about these things. That's all I'm saying.
I've started several.
Yeah.
I literally have notebooks filled with stuff. And it's just me organizing things. It just doesn't work. So my kids will have the pleasure of finding all these notebooks that clearly state things I've done, and they'll have to be able to put it in a book format.
I couldn't do a book. That just seems like too much of a headache. I don't have the mental
Well,
fortitude
you
to do all
have
that.
a wonderful wife, and she would love to help.
Hmm.
I'm sure she would.
She is a wonderful wife. I don't know if she'd love to help.
So you could do a book, because she would love to help you do a book.
I feel like I'm getting set up for something here. All right, so that's about all I got.
Okay, you did ask a question about when people die and someone else can slide into their
Yeah,
skin.
what is what is that movie? I'm not talking about Twilight Zone. There's the newer one. The guy, the lady, she wears the mask thing. The ghost. Oh God, I can't remember the name of the
Oh,
show.
I'm going to be much easier.
I
Did
can't
you ever
remember.
see the flick Flatliners?
Oh, Flatliners. Oh yeah. I watched the original with Kiefer Sutherland and
you
the remake.
cross over.
Yep.
And you come back, only you didn't come back. Somebody over there came back.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe that if your body has your spirit has decided, I'm done with this body. I really believe that there are spirits floating around there going, I didn't have enough time. I want to check in. You go away. Have a good time.
Okay.
I believe that can happen. And I think that's why some people, when they've had a near-death experience, because, well, they came back,
Yeah.
they remember all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Their brain has a pattern of stuff that actually happened to them. But the spirit that is now in them remembers things that is bleeding over from the subconscious, from the spirit itself, trying to get the information.
It's like, and that's a lot of people have. A lot of people have near-death experiences, and then they do change. Their personality changes, things of this nature. They might not have been a smoker. Suddenly they want a cigar. They might not have been a drinker. Suddenly they want a scotch. So that is kind of a thing that. But then again, though, that also happens with people that get organ transplants as well, which is another
Oh, come on.
goofy
We know
topic.
way too many horror stories about that.
Too many. Jessica Alba, the eye.
The hand.
Oh, God. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night, everyone. It was a great time.
Thank you all for tuning in for another episode of Mysteries After Dark. As always, be safe. Bye.